Usichanue, kaa mbele na Safaricom.
Kumbuka, sio M-Pesa iko na shida, ni yeye ako na shida ya pesa.
Thank you for staying with us. The Justice and Legal Affairs Committee of the National Assembly this morning began hearing public views on the government-sponsored bill on two-thirds representation in Parliament.
They heard from a number of stakeholders, including the Federation of Women Lawyers and Center for Rights Education and Awareness, who all made it clear that they fully expect MPs to make good on the constitutional imperative as soon as possible. Burrows with more.
A member of this committee.
When members of the National Assembly Committee for Justice and Legal Affairs tried to inject some humor into public hearings on the two-thirds gender principle, they were stared down by a hostile audience who made it clear that the realization of equal women's representation in Parliament was no laughing matter.
I would urge the men to stay on point. We are here to pass a bill. That's a constitutional requirement. I really actually take exception to that. We're making light of a very important issue. And she has absolutely every right to bring a bill in Parliament. I'm not objecting to that. However, please, let's treat this with the seriousness that it deserves and the urgency that it deserves.
The women who poured into Nairobi's County Hall this morning to give their views on Parliament's latest effort to meet the two-thirds requirement made it abundantly clear that they will fully expect the 12th Parliament to see through to the finish line what their predecessors failed to do.
To tell the Speaker that when it comes to voting for this bill, because it's very important for women, we want to see voting being done by a show of hands. Otherwise, because we want to watch and see how those who we have elected are voting. Because we don't, and we want to know those who are walking out, those ones who are on safari and all that, because we know there are all excuses when it comes to voting for bills to deal with women issues.
They were also categorical that they would not tolerate any further delay.
We are saying that we should not go to 2022, but we should have a clause, a transition clause that will introduce how we get the 41 women to the 12th Parliament. Otherwise, this Parliament will be unconstitutional, and even if we pass this law and say 2022, we women will have to go back to court and say that the Parliament should be declared unconstitutional.
All the women represented at Wednesday's meeting, including the hard-to-miss Girl Guides, made it abundantly clear that not even a bloated wage bill would fly as an excuse not to see more women in Parliament.
We truly can afford. What we cannot really afford is to continue waiting any longer and to exclude the women.
The two areas of concern they raised are the 20-year sunset clause included in the bill and the lack of a properly laid out criteria on how parties would select their nominees. The Duale bill proposes to include a number of special seats to ensure that no more than two-thirds of the members of either house are of the same gender.
5 years, 5 months and 12 days ago, the Supreme Court gave the directive that the two-thirds gender principle should be effected by the 5th anniversary of the Constitution. 3 years since that deadline lapsed, it remains an illusion.
And it remains to be seen if the fourth time's the charm. Burrows, NTV.